And welcome aboard the brand new week, brand new Monday. The last one, no, it's not the last one. There's another Monday left in May, it being next Monday, the 31st. However, next Monday, the 31st, is a bank holiday in both Britain and the US. Therefore, neither Ash and I will be trading on that day, and we won't be having a what's this called? A trading buddy show next Monday. Angel, we've only just discussed that, Ash and myself. So sorry, we haven't put out a notification for that yet. But if you could take note of that, that will actually not be happening next Monday. There will be no trading buddies next Monday. Rightio. So there's a pound that we need to discuss. Well, there's a pound US dollar that we need to discuss and decide if we're going to trade it as a breakout today. Let me have a quick look at that. Happy Monday to you too, Paul P. Good to have you on board as always. Are we in a range or are we not? On the hourly chart, I'm seeing high, high, low, high, lower, low, lower, low, equal high. I don't want to trade that range. That range, 2-day range we're talking about, is there to there, 100 pips, pretty much bang on the knocker, eh? I think I'll leave that alone for this Monday, so there won't be any breakout trade on pound US dollar. What's all this? Sell 141.03. It's an old one, eh? Sorry, I'm just trying to work out what that was doing there. I lost everything yesterday. My whole thing crashed. And it's very frustrating when that happens because, hey, Scalper Joe, how you doing, mate? You lose everything. You lose all your profile settings, etc. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I've only just noticed that in the last 10 minutes or so. So I'm in a bit of a scramble here. But what I can do is update the trades that we are in. I believe I can do that anyway. Aussie CAD, the star performer, is still going strong. We keep getting lower lows, which is fantastic. And I've moved my stop loss. I think I'll leave it there for now. Stop loss is currently at what? 94.50. 94.50 something. 94.50, I think it's 8. It's thereabouts anyway. Important part about this is it's above these lows, and of course it's also above last week's weekly pivot. Monthly pivot won't move down till next week. When that's the case, we may look to trail this a little bit further, tighten up the stops again. But for now, absolutely nothing to do. We are what, 309 pips or 7 or 8 pips to the good off a risk. What was our risk on this? 68. Yep, 68. So that's going pretty well. Aussie CAD, that's our star performer for the month. Pound Kiwi. Now, you guys, I did update this in the Telegram group, of course, on Friday, and TP2 should have been hit, and hopefully you've done something about that. Stop loss for me has moved. I haven't got it on this account, but 196.57 is where my trailing stop is. Maybe we could sneak that down onto the weekly pivot. That's exactly what we will do. I didn't know the weekly pivot was there when I did that. So let's sneak it down to just under DS2. There might be a good idea. 196.20. 196.20 will be the stop loss, trailing stop on pound Kiwi. Now, I had it. Go on, move. There you go. Now, on the other side of that, well, same side of it really, we haven't been triggered on the monthly, which is of course, is trading that bar there. And that's a stop loss on that entry here. Haven't been triggered on that. That may happen this week, may not. We maybe go into retracement stage and miss out on that entry. But I do believe it's coming. Pound CAD. Now, Pound CAD was interesting. Did we not? Yeah, we had a long on this last week as well. And we got a TP1, I think. Can't remember. Break-even trade for me anyway. Because I closed the trade when I missed TP1. That's right. So that's all the good for our longer term trade, of course, which is now safe. We've taken TP1, but we really need to get a wriggle on here. Otherwise, this is just going to stay in range. And if that's the case, obviously we can trade the range, which we'll attempt to do. Now, Euro Pound, we are at risk on Euro Pound, or I am. Anyway, I don't know if you guys have taken TP1. Entered on this bar here. It looked for all intents and purposes on Friday as though we were going to get a TP1, but it quickly reversed. I don't know what's going on there. Ash may have some information on that, but I'm holding the position. Actually, it expired, didn't it? And I replaced the order on Friday. That's right. And didn't get a TP1. So that's at risk at the moment, Euro Pound, just above break even there. Aussie Yen, TP1 on that. So we're free trading that one as well. And nothing to do here. Just wait and see if the monthly pivot either A, goes away, maybe down here somewhere, which it probably will next week at some stage, depending on what happens, of course, or price actually breaks through there. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. Again, it's a free trade, so no drama there. Euro CAD, we traded this bar here last week because Gyra found that order, and we did place it. We got TP1, TP2, can't remember. Oh, no, I didn't take TP2. I just moved my stops up. That's right. Moved my stops up to a safe place, and I think that was plus 60, which is exactly what the risk was on the trade. So we took TP1, whatever that was. I'll have to go back and have a look at it. TP1 was at, no, I'd have to go back and have a look. I haven't got it on my sheet there. So we took TP1 and we moved our stop loss exactly the same risk that we took into the trade. So good winning trade, Gyra, well spotted, well done. Now this week, I really struggled to find any key reversals that meant anything to me. And therefore, I came up with the following. Missed out of Pound Kiwi on the trade taken. Okay. That's sad, Subra. But there's always more, mate. It's just another one. Where was I with this one? Okay, Euro Swissy. So with Euro Swissy, my bias is long after a bounce off the bottom of this range. Where the bottom of that range is problematic, because if you take the highs here, we're getting close to that confluence area. We've had resistance here, support here, and resistance here. But if you sneak it down a little bit further, which also makes sense, probably into that zone where it's been support here, still support through here, resistance, 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 resistance. If you take that into consideration, then we're still headed south. So this is a little bit tricky. So I need to watch this area very, very closely. We are at a support level, just recent support. Having a little bit of a rally this morning so far. Daily pivot looks interesting, maybe for a short. And I think that's still on, really, frankly, but not that keen either. Really not that keen at these levels. So I'm looking for a turnaround here. If it does turn around, start giving me higher lows, then maybe we can trade this up to here. But it really does have a big question mark on it. Have we gone low enough? The reason it is of interest to me really is because of this bar. Wow. That's a big one, guys. That's a big rejection bar. And it's also a big key reversal bar. So I'm expecting that we may even consolidate here or get that little bit of a relief rally, as I said. But this does look to have more downside in it. I've got to say, looking at that bar. So maybe that level there, 108.62, as I've got it, is the level rather than the one just above us, which I pointed out earlier, which was the top of this bar. So, yeah, a little bit tricky, but start looking for maybe false breaks in this area. But they're going to come at a bit of a surprise to the market, really, because that candle on Friday is massive. Last week is absolutely massive, and it reeks of further downside. Dolly Yen, also having a look at Dolly Yen. Reason for that, of course, it is a key reversal bar. Now, on the daily from Friday, it is worse. Well, I say worse because I hate trading Dolly Yen, but it is the key reversal bar from the week before, and then an inside bar. Wow. That suggests to me that I need to trade that bar there, last week's candle, which is enter here, stop loss here, trade straight into the high. Gee, I'm not a fan. I've got to say, I'm really not a fan. But if it does show signs of going there on the smaller time frames, then I'm probably going to have a look at it. I think it's the first key reversal bar followed by an inside bar on a weekly chart that I have not traded, but for some long time. But I'm not going to. I will be, however, looking for that on smaller time frames to take us into a position where that could trigger. Aussie Kiwi, the reason I'm looking at Aussie Kiwi is not so much because I see key reversals anywhere, because I don't, but the daily chart's telling me that this trend line is pretty powerful, and price hasn't been able to breach it in any way, shape. Well, it did there, but every time it's got there, it's given us a false break. And maybe this is just another one of those times. I can't see a trade there right now, but it is certainly on my watch list. Maybe a break and retest, monthly pivot here, daily pivot here. That's all happening as well, or another false break of support. Maybe the way to go on Aussie Kiwi for the week. And the other one is Euro Kiwi, because it's so obvious that we are at the top of the range. I was actually considering trading that bar as a false break, but I don't think there's much reward in it, because you've got to consider that the monthly pivot's there. But we are now back inside the range, so I'm looking for lower highs. Today, I don't see that right now, but there's a little bit of a double top sitting there on a 4-hour chart. I think if we got down here, in particular to the weekly pivot that I just mentioned, and came back into this area, gave me the lower high, then that would be my trigger to go short on Euro Kiwi. All right, guys, we are up to date. So let's say g'day to Ash. G'day, mate.
Hello, mate. How you doing? How's everybody in the room? Yeah,
nobody's complained so far, so that's a good start.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna start the week like we did last week and attempt to enter the FTSE. Whether it's a winner or not, I don't know, but I'm gonna give you guys a trade anyway.
Happy days.
Where are we at?
Worked last week.
It worked last week, but yeah, 1 week out of one probably does not make a sum. So let me just move that there. Move that there. And oh gosh, where's that gone? There we are. Okay, just getting my share screen here.
Mm-hmm. How was your weekend, by the way?
Oh, it's great, mate. It was Molly's birthday, so it was really a lot of fun. You know, she obviously had a meltdown, but you know, that's relatively normal. But
was
yeah,
she 3?
She is 5.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah,
where have I been for the last 2 years?
Yeah, probably the same place as me, mate. It's been a days, but yeah, she did have a very good time. Right, so it's for a FTSE long. So now I'm just going to sort of show you the some of the analysis on this anyway, as much as I can give you without the screen getting really messy.
Hi, Lewis. Hi, SF. Oh,
Yes, good morning, guys. So really, I'm looking at this trend line along here. The daily pivot is it might get down there. You know, it may well get down there. I don't see too much weakness though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get in on this trend line here. And if it pops down to the daily pivot, I'm going to hold on, but stops down at the lows there, and I'm just going to aim for this upper line. So I'm going for around about a 2 to 1. So now that trend line, is it down at 12s? Let me just see what I've got here. So probably 14. It's not going to be too far off, actually. It's not going to be too far away from that daily pivot as it goes. Let me just see what else I've got here. Now, the reason I'm kind of questioning it on here is that these are different to the futures, and it's the futures chart that I do my analysis on. But because you guys don't have futures on Fusion, I try and give you the levels off something you can actually trade. Do you know? I'm not going to I am not going to get too aggressive on this one, mate. Just because we are near the high, I think we're going to this high before we come down, but I'm not going to get too aggressive. So I'm gonna put it down nearer the pivot. So 7. What's that? That's 3 down. So I'm going to use that bar. I'm going to use this bar here, which was the closing bar on the closing price on Friday. So 7003 is the low. So I'm going to put in at 7005 for my entry. It's a buy limit at 7005. And I'm just going to put a stop loss under here at 6985. So it's about 20 pips to the downside, and it'll be around about 46 to the up. So let's give ourselves a bit of room, because we should be able to do that on the 2 to 1. So let's get down 23, which gives us about 69.81. Uh, 69.82 in actual fact. So we've got entry at 7005, so 7005. We've got stop loss at 7982. Okay. And I'm going to write this here for you guys. You see a short with price now at a high in resistance H1 and H4. Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah. Okay, to buy limit. Well, you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? I think it will depend on the time frame you're looking at. I mean, I'm not aiming for much here. And I know you're quite bearish on the FTSE, and I suppose in some respects I am too, but I just don't see it happening just yet. But the market is full of different opinions. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a market at all. So I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that this is what I see, and this is what I'm going to trade. So 7005 is the entry with a stop loss at 69.82 and a take profit at these highs here, which I will have a look at what that is. It looks like 70.50. Looks like a nice round number there. Now, everything that I am initiating is a soft entry, soft targets. So these are subject to change if the price action changes. If I don't quite get here and it's in this area and it doesn't look like I'm going to get there, I will take profit. The stop loss, if I see it breaking down sufficiently and I'm not yet at the stop loss, I will close the trade. So everything that I'm doing is like a soft target level. That's just my insurance, just to get me out, just in case. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. So I'm going to place that in. So that's now in the market, and you won't see it because Oh, it's only because my lines are turned off currently. That's all. So there we go, mate. That's our trade for the day.
Happy days. Did you get that stop loss right? C Chen's telling us that you might have said or wrote 79.82 instead of 69.87.
Sorry, mate. If I did that, then that is wrong.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I might have done. 7,005 is my entry. Stop loss 69. You're absolutely right. 69.82, and the take profit is 750. It's going to be in that area. It's going to be somewhere in that area.
Happy days. And happy days, C Chen, for pointing us out. Thank you. And hi, Paresh. All right, perfect. Awesome. Scalper Joe, if you want to come in, mate, you know what to do. Just butt in, and we'll accommodate that. No problem at all.
Yeah. You know, just a quick note on the markets as well, mate. I definitely see a pretty quiet period here, which is the interesting really about the long, you know, because Lewis's take on the shorts, and I think Lewis is just generally bearish on the markets right now, which I completely get, and I think that I could also make a case for some downside. But because markets are quite quiet, at this stage, I don't see why it would start its move lower now. I think that there's been enough out there to sort of like, you know, cause some turbulence and make us sort of like think, okay, well, you know, things could be. I'm probably gonna have to put in an order above this level as well, actually, just in case it starts popping up. I will enter long here, guys, if the market starts taking out this high, and I'll aim for that same target. I'll probably enter the stop losses differently, but the reason I'm disclosing this is because I do think we're going to this level, so I'm happy to get in at some point. I think. The way this is looking, I'm not sure if it's going to come down to the 7,005, but it might. But I might just scalp a little bit to the upside. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Then I'll manage my stops. Anyway, so yeah, I just don't see it yet, mate. I think, you know, we've got bank holidays today in Europe. We've got bank holidays next week in the UK. Incidentally, the show won't be on next Monday because there is a bank holiday in the UK and the US. So
yeah, I did mention it. So
you mentioned it, yeah. So there's no point in us being here in many respects, because I tend to trade the UK equity, which will be closed, and Jeff will be pulling teeth because there will be nothing for him to do really either, because I suspect markets will be quite quiet. Now after that, that's when we start to get some meat on the bones again. So let's just quickly talk about some drivers that might start to shift our focus lower rather than higher, and look at the news events that you guys need to watch. So this is what we got today, like literally nothing going on. Bank holiday in Switzerland, bank holiday in France, bank holiday in Germany, and also bank holiday in Canada, which I think is quite random in some respects. I'm surprised that Canada and the US aren't kind of in.
What's Europe celebrating or not?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Click on the box.
Oh, sorry. Then I will know. Swiss banks are closed to observe. Oh, Whit Monday. Whit Monday. Really? Yeah,
Whit Monday.
I think that I should probably be an A. Sorry, I'm thinking of school terms. So, Swiss banks will be closed to observe what Monday, because we don't know. I don't know what that means. I'm sure it means something.
Well, we've got actually a Whit Sunday here.
Oh, there you go.
It's an island, or unless it's a series of islands off the mid-north coast, mid-coast of Queensland, actually.
Oh, right.
Sundays.
Yeah. Whit Sunday. So we have a little bit of wit going on. I don't know if it's a time where people tell good jokes. I don't know what it relates to, but I'm sure it's I'm
fresh out of them, but I'm sure I'll come up with something.
Yeah. So we're not Swiss, so we don't need our jokes today, but I'm sure there's lots of jokes going around in Switzerland, if that's what it's about. So yeah, that's in Switzerland. Same in France, and probably the same in Germany as well. So they're celebrating Whit Monday. The UK next week. Again, I know it's a bank holiday, but I don't really know what it relates to, if I'm honest. But let's have a quick look at this week, because I think this might tell us quite a bit about what we should be thinking about getting into the market this week. And I think, it's worth reiterating to everybody that you don't have to trade. You can sit on your cash for a week or a few days and not do anything. You don't have to participate in the market. And when you see the kind of data releases that we have this week, you may be encouraged not to trade, because there's not really a whole bunch going on. There's nothing notable there that you can see, and you can see that the red folder stuff is in New Zealand, and it's no disrespect to New Zealand, but the New Zealand economy just isn't big enough to move the overall market. It would have to be pretty seismic, a press conference for New Zealand to actually have any impact on everything else. So it's unlikely that even Wednesday we're going to get anything out of anything but possibly New Zealand and Australia. What is quite interesting seasonally is that New Zealand and the New Zealand dollar tends to rally during this period, where the Aussie tends to do quite badly. So it might be worth looking at a Kiwi or Aussie, mate, at some point. Aussie Kiwi.
Yeah, I am. I've got it on the radar, but the only thing I see is that there was a little bit of resistance broken by the Aussie above the Kiwi.
Right.
And I can go with that. But when's that? Wednesday? Early Wednesday morning. So I need to get in the market and safe before then. That'll be
what at this stage. What's your directional bias? Is it for Kiwi long or Kiwi short?
Kiwi short.
Kiwi short. That's it. Yeah, because I mean, it would have been great if it was Kiwi long, just because it would have agreed with the.
Sorry. I should clarify that. Aussie Kiwi long, not necessarily Kiwi per se short.
Yeah, Aussie Kiwi long. Okay, so we have that on Wednesday, so that might be something to focus on. On Thursday, a little bit of preliminary GDP from the United States, which could be an interesting number because it's prelim GDP rather than an absolute GDP print, which obviously would be backward looking. So this might have a little bit more significance. I don't know. Unemployment claims always going to have to be closely watched, but again, nothing major. And then core PCE price index, which again has to be watched currently, I think, a bit more closely, because we are, the big talk is about inflation, so we need to be focused on any inflation print to see what it's going to give us. But it's really next week that things start to be a bit more significant. Obviously, we've mentioned that there's a bank holiday in the United Kingdom and there's a bank holiday in the United States on Monday. But on Tuesday, this is when things start happening. We got a cash rate in Australia. We got the OPEC meetings also on Tuesday. ISM manufacturing PMIs from the States as well on Tuesday. So it really does kind of like start to pick up a bit more significantly. GDP quarter on quarter from Australia, I don't think it's going to be that significant. Crude oil inventories again on Thursday, is that? Monetary policy hearings from the United Kingdom. And then finally on Friday, there is another kind of slew of data. Average earnings going to be very closely watched, non-farm and the unemployment rate from the United States. It's really next week, mate, which means that anybody that is thinking, shall I put the gun in the holster for the week, would probably be, I think that they wouldn't be making the worst choice. Unless you really see something that you feel comfortable with, then I think it's okay not to trade this week. I don't think there's going to be any missed opportunities per se on this week. And
look, from last week, absolutely nothing was showing apart from Dolly Yen, which concerns me. But, chances are it'll move. And if it does, then most everything will move as well. Yeah. I see that maybe being another inside bar, though. And that's kind of goes along with what you were just saying. So I found it very difficult yesterday to get interested in anything, frankly. And Aussie Kiwi, Euro Kiwi were the only two that were really showing me the ranges that I can see trades coming from. That big reversal on Euro Swissy last week was quite amazing. If you have a look at that bar. So that kind of suggests a little bit of downside before upside. Maybe I'm focused there as well on Euro Swissy a little bit, but yeah, found it very, very difficult to get anything that means something that I'm normally looking for. So yeah, I'm going to struggle.
Well, I think so, and this is when I'm looking at the broader market as well. Obviously, the crypto space has been fascinating recently, and it's really interesting. Has it bottomed out yet? I'm not 100% sure, actually. I wasn't convinced last week, and it did dip over the weekend. Right now, it may well bottom out here. What I think is quite interesting about this crypto market now is that what happened, obviously, that everybody knows that it got into overbought, an overbought situation and scenario, and it was inevitably going to show on the indicators when you get the kind of moves that we had over a very short period of time, relatively speaking, that things were going to get to an overbought condition. What's really happened now is that we've got an area that could hold up, but we still have indicators that are overbought. So that suggests one of two things can happen. Either, well, I suppose one of three things really. We either go back to the crazy overbought scenario, and the indicators don't get a chance to unwind, or it bubbles here for a while and does a bit of this and just allows those indicators to unwind. Because if you look at an RSI, for example, which has got this 50% line here, currently on a monthly chart, it's kind of right up here in embedded kind of embedded territory up here, and it's better when it's down nearer the 50% line to kind of give people a bit of confidence that it's got some room to go. Momentum's still got some room to go, and it's not there. But if it does a bit of this, then it can unwind and come down here without this price having to collapse to bring it down here. So as I say, one of two things will probably happen. It will either collapse and bring the indicators down, or it will unwind here just by messing about here for a few months. Actually, it's possible we might get at least a month and a half of pretty much no movement with the crypto space, or we collapse. Or, as I say, obviously option three is that it does that and the indicators don't get a chance to unwind. Less likely though after seeing this. Because there's obviously a little bit of kind of flushing out going on. And it's really interesting because a lot of crypto commentators are saying that it's the retail guys getting out, the whales are still holding, the big guns and institutes are still holding, so it's time to get back in with this dip. But when you recognize that most of those people hold crypto, so it's not in their interest for it to crash, of course they need to say something that is going to be positive, and whether they're doing it purposefully or not, and I suspect a lot of them are just being as honest as they can be, but they do have skin in the game, so they're not going to be looking at this objectively currently. But if you do look at it objectively, there's no reason that the crypto space just starts to pick back up again. I think it could bubble around here for a while, which if it does, I think would be very healthy. So I think, Bitcoin's interesting. Ethereum's obviously interesting as well. But Ethereum could actually halve in price, some more before picking up. And if you look at the monthly chart, then you'll see that that this is the breakout price here at around about 1066, which isn't the price, but I'm going to say it is because it's a significant day for the UK. So
it is indeed.
Yeah, around about 1066 would be a great price to buy. But this monthly bar is looking in all sorts of trouble right now. So it really does need to recover somewhat in the next week or so, and it could well do. It might end up like a huge doji. But I still think that there's volatility that could drag this up, down, and sideways before we settle down. So it could be here as a decent place to get in, but there may well be a little bit lower to come. So let's see what happens.
Just on that chart, if that did come down to, I can't see the level, but below the trend line just a little bit, to come down one more swing low, next one, there, so if price came down to there, then back and retested that trend line, what would you think?
Okay, yeah. So we're thinking about the technical. So if it came into this here and then did that,
yep.
Would I think there's lower to go? Okay, so let's think about it on a technical basis. Well, well, because of what my eye always gets drawn towards, it would be
it's a leading question.
yeah, I see where you're at. Yeah, you'd kind of have to say that there would be this head and shoulders pattern down here that would suggest a bit lower. And if I was a pure technical trader, then I would be looking probably to say it's going to come down again and maybe take the short on, maybe just leave things where they are. I don't know. But yeah, it would suggest lower at that particular point for sure.
Be a hell of a head. Be a hell of a head.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder whether we could even call it a head and shoulders, or whether it should become some sort of rocket. So because it would look like some sort of rocket launcher. But it would actually, if it's only come to here, then it would
seems appropriate.
Yeah, definitely appropriate with this stuff. But if it came to here and did that would probably meet my longer term potential projection of coming to the 1066, because that would leave us a very small relative measured move there, in honesty, considering the size of the head, which would lead us sort of like down to this area here, which actually, looking at a normal chart, would be around this gap. So it would actually be even more attractive. That would bring it right down to $750, $800. So yeah, I mean, do you know what I think needs to happen with crypto is that I think everybody can be a bit more patient now, because the problem was there's still the kind of FOMO that people, there is this fear of missing out while it's down here, and the crypto commentators are saying what a great price to get in, and they might be right, but it's not a great pattern to get in. So because we're not used to seeing tradable patterns on cryptos, because it's just been going boom and bang, we're almost not anticipating a tradable pattern. We're anticipating another big bang up or a big crash down. But my argument is that I think there's every chance we get one, because what I'm saying is for the indicators to unwind, then there needs to be a little bit of quiet. And a little bit maybe less exuberance in the crypto space. And why wouldn't we get a period like that? Because as you always say, that a trend is a roadmap to the next range. Well, we haven't had any ranges for a while, so why wouldn't we get one now? Would be my argument.
This thing doesn't really trend though, does it? It just goes, as you say, kabang.
Yeah, I guess it does.
I mean, in respect of higher highs and higher lows, I suppose you've got to call it a trend, but gee whiz, it just moves like
it does. And do you know what, mate? This is where I think charting analysis and a fundamental reason to buy something or to not have something almost start to part waves, because the technical analyst will want something clean and something that they can trade, whereas a fundamentalist will effectively go, is this thing worth this price? At this particular point in time, is it worth this price? I.e., is it going to become more valuable, or is it going to become devalued forever? Effectively, is it going to zero? And the fundamentalist in me says, well, there are enough cryptocurrencies out there that I'm really interested in, because I think it is a really interesting space to say, if I don't quite get the right pattern and weigh in, then fine. Because what I will try and do is pick a price point, and when I've got my price point, that will be what I will settle on. Similar to really what I would do with a FTSE. Do I think it's going higher? Yes, I do. Am I going to get the best price point? I don't know. But what I'm going to do is put a limit order in and hope it comes and triggers me in. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I've got my price point wrong. And I'll have to enter at the break of the high. If it does, awesome. I've managed to get it. But I'm not trading a technical pattern with that. I'm just trading what I think is the overall sentiment. But on that, mate, which is the other thing that I looked at this the other day, and I thought this was really interesting, and I'd like to get your take on this as well, because you're a student of this in your own way. So
John, proud of you, mate. You're still hanging in there. Good stuff on Aussie Swissy.
Oh, good man. Yeah.
I haven't got an Aussie Swissy chart, but that did well over Friday, I think, didn't it?
Quite probably, mate. And I will have a look at it in a moment. I'm just distracted because I'm just bringing you something here.
Yeah, you're
right. Here you go. Now I probably can't see this that well because it's probably not big enough, is it? Can you see that? Okay.
I can see you've got the sentiment cycle up. Yep.
Yeah. So this is the market sentiment cycle for anybody that doesn't use the sentiment cycle. Actually, I might be able to get a slightly better one. This one might be slightly better. This is the sentiment cycle. And if we start here, then it leads us into this point. So let's do that. So this is a trouncing for whatever instrument you are talking about, and then the confidence starts coming back. Now I think this is really interesting. This is the confidence starts coming back. Then you get the aversion. Then you get this move to the upside, a big parabolic move to the upside, and then that leads us here. We buy the dip. Over enthusiasm, and then kabang, down again. Now I was looking at the sentiment cycle in regards to Bitcoin, which I thought was actually really interesting, because I should probably almost put it on next to it. Let me just see if I can get this done here properly. This is I think it's here. So let me see if I can bring this in so we can have a look at it together.
You can certainly see it there.
Yeah, so what I want to do is I just want to oops. This has not worked out very well at all. Where have you gone?
You do mean to be on Ethereum,
no,
not Bitcoin?
Do you know what? It's this one I need. Yeah.
You want Bitcoin?
Let's just get rid of that a second. That's it. That's what I want. I want to do this because what I'd like to do is see if I can bring this in next to it. Right, here we go. So let's have a look. So now, obviously, it does depend on how you see this stuff. But if we think of,
there's a massive aversion point right there.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and it's not. Here we go. So this would be this first point here, and then you get this anxiety, and this looks like it relates to this. And then you get this point here, which does crash to the downside. Now it might be that this is the anxiety point here. It probably is actually, and then it kind of comes down to the aversion. Then we start to rally to the upside heavily, like we did here. A little bit of denial here, just in this point here, and then another big move to the upside. In actual fact, this is probably, from what I was looking at, this is probably the buy the dip, and then we get one massive move up. You probably can't see this very well on this screen, can you? But then we get the one massive move up, which suggests that we could have had this over enthusiasm. Now, the reason that I point this bit out is that this is a breakout point. And it looks like this over enthusiastic area, and then there's a big move to the downside, this point here, which is the subtle warning, I think, and then another big move down. And the reason I want to look at this is because if my argument or thesis is that we calm down for a bit, then there's no reason we shouldn't get a nice clear signal where we actually see the market calming down and we just see the slowing of this discouragement, and then we start to climb again. And what I'm trying to do, I suppose, is trying to find this wall of worry sort of like point so we can get in again. Now, the aversion trade's the trickiest, because if you wait for that and it doesn't arrive, you've missed out. But if you can get into this point, then I think it's another potential move to the upside, a decent move to the upside. Now, I don't think I've illustrated this that well, but it's because I'm kind of messing around with two screens here. When I looked at this on the weekend, I had them on two full screens. But I would encourage everybody to just go and Google the sentiment cycle and see if you can find out what's been happening in this market, and see if you can find out, a place that you could list out the A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And I think with this stuff, I think you really can. I think it's actually really good for the sentiment cycle.
Picking all those points is a little bit of an art form, when you first, well, even not just the first time you look at it, but that panic point, I think, is probably the best point that you can pick. If you can find that panic point, which is really where everybody is just given up hope, and they've gone, okay, we're in deep SH1T here. We've now got to buy our positions back.
Yes.
And that point there is a really, really cool point, because once that rally, which is only a buyback rally, if you like, once that takes place, you've then got the wall of worry return point.
Yeah.
Because the wall of worry will go back to there.
Yeah.
And that's where people will start to think, okay, this is now the lower high or whatever. This has now reached the resistance level. We've got to sell it again. And that's the point where you then look for the higher low, which is your reversion point.
Yeah.
So that to me is the key to playing the sentiment cycle. Not easy, because you can start to see it all over the place, because it's there all the time.
Yes, it is. And it seems to be almost on every time frame as well. If you if you look hard enough. But I think what I like about this is that there is an absolute clear indication of enthusiasm and panic. And when you have these 2 points, it gives you a starting point to start looking at the sentiment cycle. Where the sentiment cycle is difficult is in these kind of areas here, because you're not really sure whether you're in the wall of worry stage, or are you now at the confidence stage and the return to confidence stage. But this is really obvious. I think this is the most obvious kind of part of the sentiment cycle, which means that the rally at some point, the time to get some value in this is closer, certainly, than it was up here. But does it fall again? I don't know. I mean, there's also this trend line here that I'm sure everybody's seeing, that we are currently on, with a bit of a belt hold. So it might be a good time to start, easing in to this stuff. It might come down a bit further, but it might be a good time to start easing in. But I really like the crypto space, and I really like the idea of having a portfolio which has the crypto market involved in it as well, and not just gold. I really like gold as well, but I think having some cryptos, pretty cool. And talking of gold, actually, mate, but probably the last thing that I probably will kind of focus on.
Yeah, might as well have a squeeze at it, mate.
Yeah, and I said to Ainsley last week, the one time I will rescind my opinion that this is coming to 1500 if we break and hold through this trend line, and we have. Last week's weekly bar has broken and managed to hold this particular trend line. So now the next thing that I wanted to look for with gold was a retracement down to somewhere along the trend line again, giving us an inverted head and shoulders. Now that would start looking pretty attractive for gold. And I think that there are plenty of people in the crypto space that just think that gold is not going to happen. It's done. It's not the instrument and safe haven that it once was. Well, I don't agree with that. And I think that having both in the portfolio is probably a better way to play it. So having a bit of gold, which I do have, but this would be a point to, if you like, a possible point to start adding to that gold position if it starts to retrace and give us a really nice clean inverted head and shoulders about there, and see if it can go. So gold anywhere around probably between 1820 and 17.85 I think is a decent price for further upside. But as I say, mate, I would concede now and say that I think gold is headed higher.
Yeah, it looks so from that chart, most definitely. As you know, I don't trade gold, but if I were a gold trader, I'd be looking for exactly what you're looking for, a test of the trend line now, or retest of the trend line.
Yeah.
Because it has indeed not just broken it, it's smashed it, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has.
Showing intent.
Yeah, it does show intent, and it gives us an idea of what's driving the market currently. And you know, I think we understand that what's driving the market is this inflation picture, which means those those PCE numbers are going to be very important to keep watching. And the data points just aren't. Not only are they quite light this week, but they don't even like hone in on the most important, probably the most important information that we need that we need right now, which is about inflation. So it's another reason that I think kind of keeping the gun in the holster might be the way to do it this week, rather than sort of getting too involved in anything longer term.
Yeah, or just do what I'm probably going to do, and if I see ranges being reacted, or the top or bottom of ranges being reacted off, then I think that's probably the way I'll choose to go.
I mean,
be a range trader for the week.
Yeah, well, I think we're okay in many respects, because we are looking for shorter term timeframes. But I guess, I mean, for people that are looking for longer term timeframes, it might be a bit trickier. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's going to be enough information to get a clear picture of direction.
Yeah, or you get things like what's happening on the euro at the moment. Makes it's just frustrating when it happens. And when you're done, I'll show you what I mean.
Yeah, I am done, mate. Yeah, let's have a look.
Okay, the euro versus the US dollar. There. This is the frustrating part about the trading edge that, well, I believe that we have with euro US dollar in particular, and it is the untested daily pivot, right? When it happens through Asia, the daily pivot gets tested, there's the edge gone for the day. So it now becomes a very, very frustrating practice to think, well, and look, it just leaks. It leaks to the high side through the daily pivot. The only thing that I can then do is wait for it to hit something more substantial, which is up here. So that kind of writes you off for writes me off for the day almost. But then I have a look at this chart and think, oh, okay, we've got a pretty clear double bottom sitting here. What if we came back and retested the daily pivot and give us a higher low? Maybe then I can go long. And that would probably play into this scenario. Where we've now got a clear range that's formed, in my opinion anyway. So that makes sense to me. You know, if we do come down here and put in a higher low, then there's absolutely no reason why I can't trade this back to the top of the range. So that's kind of where I'm at now. If it coincided with a trade line, even better. That looks a forlorn hope, because it looks very, very much like these two bars have made a statement of some kind. But back down to here would be absolutely ideal. We could then go long. But we may already have had it, you know, higher high, higher low, another higher low, then through. So, yeah. If you were trading, just to go backwards in time, and I don't do this, but I'm just giving you a for example, eminently tradable. This is what we look for all the time. And those of you who have probably traded with me now for the last few weeks will recognize that candle pattern right there. It's a slingshot candle pattern. Entry there, take profit there, away you go. Job done for the day. This needs to happen a lot later, so we can actually take advantage of it. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. When you've got that scenario where you've got an untested daily pivot, you're coming off the bottom of a range, and you've been given the setup that you need. You've got to close above the weekly pivot and then a drop back below it. That's what we don't die for it, but that's what we're looking for every single day of the week. When that's untested, it gives you a really, really good shot at it. But you'd have to be, well, what's that? 3 hours into the day, and that's just not my time to trade, unfortunately. And that's why I say it's the frustrating part. Oftentimes you'll find that if Asia moves, then London will do not very little. London will do very little, and maybe the US will pick up again. That doesn't look to be the case today. That looks to be pretty much a continuation of what this gave us. So I reckon the euro's going up to here. Maybe not today.
And it is interesting, isn't it, mate? Because actually, with the bank holiday in Europe, then there's a lack of liquidity, which actually does mean that the market can be just a bit more volatile and go up there without too many looks back again.
Yeah, well, if it gives me a look back, I'll consider it. But at this point in time, it's a no for me. The one that I am keen to trade is Aussie Kiwi, but that's now also looking quite a forlorn hope. Why? Well, look at price. It's all over the shop like a mad woman's. And it gapped down substantially today. I don't know what that's all about, frankly. That's
no news in Australia?
Not that I'm aware of. There's a bit of COVID about, but, a bit of COVID about in Australia is like, 2 cases or something. It's no big deal. Well, it's a big deal for those who've got it, of course, but I don't want to make light of it, but that's a fairly substantial gap given the context. So yeah, maybe I'm not even going to get that look in on Aussie Kiwi, but the further it goes down, of course, the better I'll like it. I just need a nice little trade line to pick up something, and right now there is zero that I can see. Maybe you guys can see something to trade. Oh, hang on. Hold the phone. This is not a legit trade line on the 30-minute chart, but something back above there would get me interested. Okay, it's not all over yet. Okay, so what I'm looking for is this candle to close where it is. That'd be good. A couple more consolidating in that area, then get back above the trade line and retest it. Then you can go long. Being careful to take profit at these pivots, of course. Only partial profit, because I'm expecting that this will break out. We've already had and this is why I liked Aussie Kiwi, because we got, not for the first time, I've got to say, on the monthly pivot, and every time it's done it, it's gone back down. That's exactly what's happened again. I'm predicting that will not be the end of the monthly pivot, although we've only got a week to go. I think we will get back to here. Look at the daily pivot, up, 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 up. So this.
Would you consider shorting this, mate?
Not at this level.
But it's possible that okay, so it could actually give you only because of what happened with those seasonal charts, The
seasonal charts.
Yeah, well, the seasonality is really strong for the Kiwi, and it's pretty weak for the Aussie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean,
well, that might save me some bacon.
Well, it might do, and it's been a the COT data last week was quite bullish on Bitcoin, and we've seen what's happened to Bitcoin this week. Now, this week, the COT data is very, very negative on Bitcoin. Everybody got out. So now the problem with the COT data is it is lagging because it's reported on Tuesday and they're not released until Friday. So you don't really know what everybody's doing. But and I would have thought in a very volatile market, it probably is not the best thing to look for. And it's another layer along with seasonality. So I don't know. Is it possible that we do see that the Kiwi strengthen a little bit because of, and only into the end of the month? It's got a couple of weeks of upside, but it's quite aggressive upside.
Yeah, the thing I liked was the close above the monthly pivot, rather. Second time it's done it this month. So I thought a higher low here does give us a shot at getting through that. And the trend line's holding pretty well, I've got to say.
It is. Big head and shoulders there, though.
There is, yeah, true.
With an untested neckline, and you know, I wonder whether that might be something to watch out for.
Yeah, look, you can make a case, can't you? Either way, I think.
Yeah, I find the Aussie is literally on the edge of the cliff, and it's dug its fingernails in. And it feels like a couple of them are broken, to be graphic as possible. So
I'm getting the picture.
I just wonder when. I just wonder whether it is going to break down. The longer term picture for the Aussie looks like it's going to break down, but I don't know what the move is. You're right, John. It is slow, isn't it? The market is slow today, but in some respects, well, it usually indicates that there's some. Is it the calm before the storm? You know, there's something coming. I don't know what people are waiting for, but it appears that there is a little bit of waiting going on for something.
Technically perfect off here, isn't it? Bang, bang, bang.
It is. And if you look at the Aussie Yen is kind of similar.
How are we doing? How are we doing in Aussie Yen?
Oh, it's just
we're still hanging
thing.
Around.
Yeah, same thing, mate. It's got it's got its probably his right hand is still got maybe full fingernails, but I think the left hand is broken.
John picked the right one. He got Aussie Swissy, and it's going fine.
Aussie Swissy shorts. Yeah, I quite like the Swissy actually.
He's been in that trade. I thought it was exactly the same trade as Aussie Yen actually, and I chose Aussie Yen.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you, mate. I think more for us because we've definitely we've definitely come off not as well as John. I was going to say the worst of the two, but I'm still in the Aussie Yen waiting for downside, but he's getting a bit frustrating the fact that it's just attempting and threatening to go but not going anywhere.
This looks promising, John, I've got to say. Wow.
Is this the one that we talked about, John, on Friday's show?
Yeah.
It's the one on Friday's show. Brilliant. Yeah. Another reason why I think Bitcoin and Ethereum could fall a bit lower, because if the Aussie is falling, does that indicate something broader with the market, or is it Australia specific? Of course, it could be, but is it indicating something broader with the market that we're seeing a little bit of a lack of growth? Lloyd sent out a really interesting article earlier on about China's debt. And there are a few concerns out there, and it's difficult because it depends on what you focus on. But there are a few things out there, but we can't get away from the inflation story. That's the big thing. People seem to be there are enough traders there that are willing to believe the central bank at this stage, though. I need to cover the slap. Yep, I need this to cover the slap. Oh, the Aussie Yen gave you. Yeah, the Aussie Yen, it has been slapping about, hasn't it? I know what you mean, mate. And I got slapped on one of my accounts because I put a stop in. Now the other one I just traded with no leverage, so I'm holding it. But it is getting quite excruciating every day that I wake up, and it's moved a pip in my favour, which still hasn't put me in profit, by the way. I'm down about 15 at the minute, 15 pips.
Well, we've taken profit on our side on Aussie Yen, so it's free for us. I'm happy to say. Look, I said I wasn't going to trade this, didn't I? 108.33, 108.34. Oh, that's why. That's actually not a key reversal bar. Saved me. Whew. Thank God for that.
So, mate, it was the Eurovision Song Contest over the weekend.
Yeah.
And again,
no Aussies in it.
No, were there no Aussies in it this time?
No, we failed. Didn't get to the finals.
Oh, didn't get to the finals this time. I mean, why Australia in it? And it's not no offense to Australia, but why Australia are in the Eurovision Song Contest?
Well, they invited us, I suppose.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of like, it's becoming so political, isn't it? I mean, it's the Eurovision Song Contest. What's going to happen next? That we're going to have I don't know. I can't think of an Australian football team. What's an Australian soccer team?
Australian soccer team? They're called the Socceroos. Or
No,
you
I
mean
don't mean the
a team
national. I
within
mean,
the Australia?
yeah.
The Newcastle Jets. There you go.
Yeah, so we'll have the Newcastle Jets in the Premier League. You know, it is almost as ridiculous as that to me. Purely political.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That'll give a few teams a morale boost.
A lot of jet lag.
A lot of that, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm definitely ruling out Dolly Yen. Okay, it's not happening.
Italy won anyway, incidentally.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Was that the favourite?
I don't know, actually, mate. It was because it was Molly's birthday weekend. I missed the whole Eurovision thing this year. And I guess I'll miss it every year from now on in. But I do like a bit of Eurovision.
Oh, they get relegated, all right. They'd get belted, let me tell you. Really belted. So you look, I'm terribly uninteresting, mate, today. Euro pound's gone back to entry. I still like that for downside.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we've got at risk at the moment. Everything else is free trading, and really it's just a management situation for me at the moment, and I don't need to manage anything either.
Well, I'm the same as you, mate.
Boring.
I'm gonna be looking for a FTSE long if I can get it. If I can get that 705, I will. I might have to move the entry up a little bit to the low of the last candle. But I'm gonna keep trying to get the FTSE long. Just for a little trade, small trade. For maybe 15 pips if it breaks the high, or if I get my entry, then I'll get the 25, and we'll get our 2-to-1. But aside from that, I'm with you. It looks quiet. We'll do it again tomorrow instead. See what happens. It's a very, very quiet week for news. So unless we get a shock, I suspect it might be like this for a few days. But we'll see. We'll see. Market comes back again tomorrow, of course. There are more traders in the market tomorrow because of the lack of a bank holiday. So maybe tomorrow's better. Not to want to put people off from the show. I was going to say, if you like the show, hit the like button. But you probably don't like the show much today because we haven't got the content that we need.
Who won the Euro competition? Guess the Euro. I didn't guess it this week. Last week.
Oh, the Euro. I don't know.
Pick the Euro. Have a stab now then.
What, the Euro? Okay, we'll be playing.
Yeah, where's the Euro going to be?
Okay, Euro by the end of the week. By Friday close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me have a look what my my prediction would be for the Euro. Ooh. Let's have a look. Ooh, I'm going to say, I am going to say 1.2085.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Gets to the top of the range that I'm talking about.
Another head and shoulders, mate, on that weekly.
Is here. Yeah. And I'm going to go with 121.60.
121.60. Okay, so I'm 121. Effectively, I'm 121.08. I'm 121.01. 121.01. You're 121.60. All right. All right. Let's note these down then, mate. Well, actually, we're not going to note them down because I won't see you Friday anyway. So.
No, but we can report on it next Monday.
Next Monday. All right. Well, I'm going.
When there's a quiet market. No, we won't be here next Monday.
Won't be here next Monday, so I'm not going to bother writing it down.
So what a waste of time that was. All right, I'm going to end this by telling you what I'm going to do if X, Y, and Z happens.
Go on.
And it's going to be Euro dollar and Aussie Kiwi. Euro dollar, it's got to come back to here. If it comes back to here and gives me a higher low, then I'm in. I'm going to trade it up to here. And Aussie Kiwi, if Aussie Kiwi can get back above this trade line and come back and retest it, then I'll be long Aussie Kiwi as well. Now, there's a caveat around that. It has to be two 30-minute candles that open and close below that line before I commit to that. So this candle and the next at least have to be opening and closing below the trade line, back above, retest, long. That's me.
Okay.
I am done.
Well done, mate. Okay. Just a point of interest as well. Oatly Barista, the milk making company. They make vegan milk if you're effectively out of oats. And they've had celebrity investment from Oprah Winfrey and I think Gwyneth Paltrow as well. Very popular. I drink it. It's brilliant because it's really creamy, unlike soya milk and all this stuff. So it's very popular with coffee houses. They have just launched. It's called the Oatly Group, and they launched on the Nasdaq on Friday, I think it was. It might have been Thursday, but last week they launched on the Nasdaq. So if anybody's interested in looking at shares, then have a little look at Oatly Barista. I think they opened at $16 and they're up at $22 in the last couple of days. But with now, I'd quite like a genuine market crash. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it is, then starting to get an idea of a portfolio is well worth doing. So anybody interested in some stocks and shares, have a little look at the Oatly Group. Now you will find that they haven't made profits for a while, but they are is an IPO, so a new company, and I think that they could be valued at a whole lot higher than $22 in a few years' time. So for a longer term play, well worth having a look.
All right, here's one not to do. Do not invest in Newcastle Jets getting into the English Premier League.
Yeah, or the NFT.
That won't happen. You could bet that it won't happen. You'll win. You'd have to find somebody who's willing to get on the other side of it, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, might be tricky. All right, mate. Well, let's wrap it up. Thanks so much for everybody, as always. Thanks to you, mate, and thanks to Angel. And we'll be back to do it again tomorrow. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully this FTSE trade works out. If it doesn't, then we'll see if we can pick one tomorrow.
Yep, bit of a boring old Monday, but there you go. They happen and they lead to something just a little bit better. So cheers, mate. Cheers to you. Cheers to all. And we'll see you tomorrow at the very